You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Polk.
Welcome back to the Shoe In Show. Now, Jasmine, you have been entrusted to take the reins with me because Andy Polk is taking a breather. That guy is a talker, and every once in a while he needs to catch his breath. And so you and I have been entrusted with Shoe In Show. Hopefully we don't break it because I don't know if he likes us to take this on. But we are super excited, Jasmine, because people actually do want to come on the show from time to time. It's shocking that people want to come and spend 20 minutes talking to us about their business, but our next guest actually enjoys coming on. So what do you, when it comes to iconic brands and the industry, this brand is one that really stands out, and I'm really excited to speak to them. Are you ready for me to unveil our next guest?
Yes, let the audience know who we have on today, Matt.
Today we have Dave Grange, who is the International KSwiss Brand President at KSwiss Global Brands. And Dave has been on before in a different role. But Dave, man, you got a big job now. You got an iconic brand. You got COVID. You got an industry with a lot of demand and inventory, looking for inventory. So welcome. Congratulations on the new gig first, but you got a lot on your plate, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Firstly, thanks for having me, guys. Always an honor to be able to chat. Two of my favorite subjects, K-Swiss and footwear. So you said 20 minutes. I could be here for an hour and 20 minutes. So you're going to have to probably slow me down. But it's a great honor to take on the lead role of a 55-year-old, really iconic heritage brand. Lots of things to work through for sure, like everybody has at the moment. But we've got a pretty good plan. We've got a strong leadership team, and we're focused on the future. We know what we need to do. We're taking the right kind of pragmatic approach around. We're a commercial brand, and we want to win and be successful. But we need to be really responsible as well for our people and our teams, and do everything in the right way for the long term. So it's definitely a balance, but it's a challenge that I'm up for personally, and I know my team's pretty energized to get going as well. So thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Before we get to the future, Dave, you got 55 seconds to give us a quick synopsis of the 55 years history of K-Swiss. Give a refresher as to where the brand was founded, kind of its go-to colorways and silhouettes, and then we'll get to where you guys are headed.
Sure. Okay. So K-Swiss is 55 years old this year. It's its anniversary. Brand was founded by two Swiss brothers that were absolutely avid skiers. They moved from Europe to California and started playing tennis, and quickly realized that the left and right medial lateral motion of a ski boot from left to right was very similar to tennis and how you play. So they came up with a pretty genius idea of adding D-rings down a shoe, and the 5 stripes, which really ruched the shoe together and kind of gave you a cage around your foot as you were playing tennis. So very similar to skiing. They adopted that same technology. So that's really how the synonymous D-ring started, and the split toe of the classic was to pull the shoe together to play tennis in. Obviously, as time's rolled on, the brand has moved from not just a technical tennis brand, but also to a lifestyle footwear fashion brand. So K-Swiss is the number one tennis brand in specialty retail in America. We've got 29% market share. Our closest competitor is about half of that. So we're very, very dominant in that space, and something that we're extremely proud of. That's the DNA of our brand. And then that's about 20% the size of our overall business. 80% of the business is based around lifestyle fashion footwear, which is, probably what most people think of throughout the brand's history. And it's a very, very rich tapestry that we've lived through. We've done running shoes. We sponsored the Ironman triathlon, and people, won the Ironman in K-Swiss. But I think where we are now and where we're going to move to the future is really focused on performance tennis as one pillar, and then lifestyle, classic, clean product in the other silhouette. And that's kind of where we're going to focus on. We still have tubes in our line, which is about 15% of our overall business. And the sellout's absolutely phenomenal of that category at the moment. We talk about this a lot, Matt, whether people are, training to do an Ironman or walking the dog one more time a day. People are generally more active through COVID, more time, well, I guess less time commuting, more time at home. So that kind of footwear that's, that fits in that world, comfort, easy to wear, cushioning. And KSwiss has a 20-year technology in that's doing really well. So that's pretty much the brand where it stands. Roots in tennis, and then where we are today is dominant, number one in specialty tennis, which we're really proud of, and then a big lifestyle fashion footwear business.
Hey, Dave, I'm curious, how has your experience been, coming in during this time, during COVID? Like, how has it been interacting with your teams and things like that? How has the work life been?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I don't think there's a kind of, it's a really kind of expansive question because there's so many areas to talk about with that. I think, the one thing that jumps into my mind is just the world of remote working. That's been the biggest part of it. When I took over the position, I'm based on the East Coast. Our head office is in California and has been for 55 years since the brand was founded. And we have our team, like every other footwear brand, scattered all over the country and all over the world. So it's been interesting. I mean, I think it's working, and it's working pretty well. What the new hybrid model will be when we get through COVID, we're still working through that. I know some brands have already announced that there'll be 2 days a week in, 3 out, 3 days a week in, 2 out. So we're trying to figure out, what that means and what it looks like. I think, just to kind of go off the rails, and I'll come back for a second, I think every brand's got to really dig into what that looks like, because in terms of how people have worked over the past 18 months and become used to this, and I think in a lot of cases it's been really successful. Brands have got to address, if we kind of asked everybody to come back in 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, in a traditional way, one, would that leave some people demotivated on your current team? And two, what would that mean for bringing talent into the business? I mean, I know from firsthand experience, even people that I've been interviewing recently, questions were normally around culture, compensation, brand direction, vision. Every single person has asked, what will the workplace look like? And what does it mean in terms of remote working or not? Everybody. So, that's a question that I think still needs to be answered, but I'm definitely moving more towards the 5 days a week in an office are a thing of the past for all of us. For brands that want to be competitive and culturally advanced and offer a world-class environment. So that's something we're going to have to definitely work through. But yeah, Jasmine, I think in terms of how it's worked, I think the remote working has been something new for everybody. It's kind of amazing to me, for all these years we didn't use Teams or Zoom or Jeans and everything else that's going on, because it's such a inclusive, sort of interactive way to work. And I'm the guiltiest person in the world. I've had 1 million conference calls with no video, just talking. Whereas now it's such an aha moment of, why don't we do video calls? Why don't we see each other? Like, why don't we bring the community together in a visual way? So I do think, I don't think there's many good things that have come from COVID, but I do think one thing is it's definitely allowed us to be more interactive and more visual as a team. And I appreciate that. I also think as well, we use examples of, I don't know, I'll pick Finish Line, for example. We'd drive to LaGuardia Airport, get on a plane, fly to Indianapolis, get a taxi, go to their head office, have a meeting, taxi back, all that, that you'd go through, when you can just hit a button, have a 30-minute Teams with who you need to speak to at that company, and put the phone down, and you've kind of achieved everything. like everything. So yeah, it's there's lots to think about and lot to work through, but the biggest thing's been remote working, but I do think there's some bright spots that have come from that.
Yeah, and I've experienced personally the opportunity to engage with the KSwiss team internally to brief you all on on things that are going on in the industry and just see the culture. And I believe there was some kind of bingo game being played or something before we even got started. So you have these kind of corporate gatherings weekly to check in and try to maintain that culture, even in a time where you can't get to the 2 or 3 days in the office a week just yet. And so I think all those things are really important to continue the connectivity and ensure that people aren't kind of feeling like they're on their own personal island and only engaging with people over email or phone calls and the like.
So, yeah, totally agree, Matt. So we have a standing weekly Teams with everybody. We do it on a Monday, 3:00 West Coast, 6:00 East Coast, and everybody in the business joins. And it's normally about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and it's an update of what's going on, how the numbers are looking, anything that's happening in the broader industry, things that are going on within our business, and then we celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. So we really do try and keep everybody wired together through this. And I'm a huge component of culture within a business. It's one of the most important things that you can do. You can't force it. You can't manipulate it. A great culture just happens from doing the right things. So, so I think the connectivity with people and keeping everybody close and being inclusive and being, as transparent as you can is important because, these are pretty uncertain times. We've gone back to, mask mandate in California again. So I'm in the office all next week and everybody's going to go back to wearing masks again. Mm-hmm. Which feels like, I don't know, it feels like a bit of a step back. I was in the office last week and in meetings, nobody had, well, obviously some had masks on their decision, but if you didn't want to wear a mask, you didn't have to. And it did kind of feel like we were moving away from it. Whereas next week, the whole office or the people that are in, which is about 30% of our workforce, will all need to wear masks again. So it does feel like we've kind of 2 steps forward, 2 steps back to some degree.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now let's move away from kind of corporate management and philosophy and COVID and talk product. Let's talk about culture outside of the company, right? So what's driving kind of product decisions now, and what are you most excited about as it relates to KSwiss as we move into the future, as we get beyond the 55-year history of the iconic brand?
Yeah, I mean, we've got the global head office for the brand is in California, and that's where the global design hub is based. We've also got a design hub in Europe and then another one in China. KSwiss is actually owned by a company called Exec, which is based in China. It's the 3rd largest domestic sports company in China. So we produce about 45 million pairs a year through Exec. So it's a very, very sizable business, multi-billions in terms of revenue. Mm-hmm. So it's we have amazing expertise from our Asian partners. But in terms of where we are right now, design hubs in California, broken into pillars. So we have California Classics, which is probably the product, Matt and Jasmine, that you guys think about when you think K-Swiss. It's the classic, the 3-piece toe, the D-rings, and other styles around that. We also have a big pillar with tubes. And then we're pushing a little bit further now in spring 2022 and fall 2022. We're trying to push more into slides, sandals, flip-flops, and canvas. So being a California brand, that is something that we should have a significant opinion about and, a statement in. We've been there for 55 years. We've never left that state. When people think about California anywhere in the world, you generally think of warm weather, palm trees, the beach, a more relaxed way of life, maybe health and well-being. So there's some areas with K-Swiss that we haven't pushed into. And since I took on my new role, I really felt that the canvas, slides and flip-flops was something that the brand should start to push into. So yeah, you'll definitely see more of that from us in the future.
As far as a lot of your collaborations. I've seen some great collaborations come out recently. Like you have a collection with Venus, the tennis player, and I just think that it is just super cool to see you guys merging with people who are actually from there. I know there you've collaborated with musicians like YG, who's a LA native and rapper.
Yeah.
So how do you think that drives you guys to sell more product or connect with your audience more? Or like, do you find real value in those collaborations?
Yeah, thanks, Jasmine. This is an area that I'm pretty passionate about. So there's different ways that K-Swiss connects with the consumer and build an emotional connection. So, people like Venus, for example, they just transcend the sport. She's an absolutely incredible, powerful, strategic businesswoman, athlete, entrepreneur. So to be able to have, a partnership with her is something we're really proud of. And then you move to people like YG. So he's a Compton native, West Coast based, which obviously suits our brand. And there's an expression that we can put through YG, which connects us to a consumer that, we don't naturally talk to, and we need to do a better job of that. And then the other piece of the puzzle is kind of high heat, tier one sneaker distribution. So we've got some pretty big collaborations in the pipeline. We've got a project that we're working on right now with Concept, with the guys in Boston. We've got a collaboration that drops with Extra Butter, and that's around the same time as the US Open. We're in conversations with Stadium Goods right now. We have a collaboration with Leaders in Chicago. That's apparel and footwear that's going to be coming out at the end of this year. Another one with Rowing Blazers based in Manhattan. So there's an awful lot that's going on around the brand, and we're pretty prescriptive who we work with. So we kind of have the athletic pillar, the musician pillar about connecting with the right people there. And then, you're going to see much more of the tier one kind of high heat sneaker distribution as we start to partner with some of the best in the world to have our brand, back in some of the really aspirational stores, which, K-Swiss has been in and out throughout the years, and we've done incredible collaborations, but we really want to get to a place where we have kind of an all year round merchandise collection in the best stores that the consumer can always find, as opposed to a collaboration that drops, sells out immediately, and then the brand can't be found till the next collaboration. It's kind of really important to us that we have more of a 24/7 connection with that consumer and those stores where we're kind of always available. But yeah, it's collaborations are really important. They add a lot to our brand, and hopefully we can add to the people that we're collaborating with. It broadens our network of people we can talk to. It widens our occasions to wear. It adds heat around the brand. It adds social media excitement. And I think it's fun and interesting. If I was in that world and I was looking for products, and there was a brand that was a household name that was instantly recognizable like us, that was working with somebody that they were really interested in or aspired to be like, for me, that's just two reasons to engage in that project and hopefully enjoy what we're doing. So yeah, really pleased about that. We brought a new VP of marketing and e-commerce who actually starts on Monday. And she's an exceptionally strong person that's joining the team. She spent the last 15 years working with global heritage brands focused on footwear. So we're thrilled to have her in. The announcement will go out pretty soon. So we're definitely adding some more talent as well to our leadership team that can drive this direction.
Yeah. David, your timing is really key because I think you have two things going on. One, you have some really big athletic brands who remain nameless starting to kind of close off their channels and to try and drive more of their own destiny through direct to consumer.
Yeah.
And so I have to imagine that will open up opportunities for kind of second tier athletic brands to come in and provide product, particularly in the independent retail space and specialty stores in these markets and these communities that you speak of, where where maybe some of these athletic brands are pulling away from. And then
Yeah.
you have the direct to consumer, and you have an e-commerce site that's really dynamic and really cool. So talk to me about both of those things. Is your timing, are you in a good spot from a timing perspective? Because the foundational aspect, particularly in the athletic space, is being shaken right now based on the contraction of some of these big brands.
Yeah.
And then you also have this hyper drive towards D2C, which is been exacerbated in a positive way by COVID. So talk to me about kind of the timing of how you're strategizing around your distribution.
Yeah, for sure. So two pretty big, pretty big important areas. I think D2C has obviously accelerated massively through COVID. I think it's fair to say a lot of brands, probably including us, weren't prepared for the consumer demand that would enter our worlds through that. So we weren't geared up with inventory. Our supply chain wasn't geared up for it. So there's definitely some learnings that we've experienced. Obviously, we're over a year into it now, so we are quick learners and we are making big steps to change that. In terms of the experience with the consumer, we actually completely reskin our D2C, which starts in August this year. So we need to become, more consumer friendly. I think we need to become more interactive as a site. Whether that means customization, quicker deliveries, more exclusive products on our best-selling styles that are only available through D2C. I'm not sure, but there's a ton of work going behind that. I think the big conversation at the moment, Matt, is you're completely right. There's a particular brand that's made, some strategic decisions to take a distribution vacation, I think is the common term that's being used. We're not taking a distribution vacation. We want to service our customers as and when they want our brand, wherever they want our brand. So, we don't see it the same way as that other company. And that's absolutely fine. Everybody has a different view. In terms of the opportunity, I think it's been profound. For our brand, it's made a pretty dramatic difference. We sat down as a leadership community when the news was announced that, this brand was withdrawing from, and then we went through this kind of cycle where it felt like every few months there was another round of names, big names that we're very proud to be in and want to work hard with to do a better job and want to put on a pedestal and invest in. Some of these retailers were retailers that, this other brand, decided to take a different approach to. So, yeah, it's been pretty huge. The only kind of, I guess, danger area for me when it started to happen was, okay, so there's this void that's been left. With some retailers, it was as high as 70%. So there's this huge void that's been left. They've got a huge open to buy. They're going to go out to other brands that they work with, bring some new brands in. But my kind of, I guess, natural thought was, okay, that's great, but we've got to sell through. So if we were 3% of their overall business, and now we're going to be 13% of their overall business, that's great and exciting. But, for me, when this tsunami of inventory just arrives from our brand, does that naturally mean that the consumer is instantaneously ready with open arms to stop buying the brand they were used to buying from that retailer and then just go to the other brand that's available? Or will they continue to buy that other brand from a D2C site or from somebody else? So that was kind of my only major caution. It's really exciting. The opportunities, huge for us as KSwiss as a brand. We know from speaking to our retail partners just how big that opportunity can be. But I also think we need to be responsible and balanced and controlled and considered and don't kind of run in like the kid in the candy store, grabbing every PO we can. We've just got to, gently ease our way into a growing business in the right way. I think as well, Matt, we touched on tubes earlier. If anybody gets a chance to Google after this, go and check out KSwiss Tubes. It's incredible technology, works really well. The price points are very, very sharp. And I think as well, because of the other brand exiting a lot of that athletic distribution, that's probably why we've seen such a big uptick in tubes, because it's visual, it works, it's got a really strong retail price, and it does fill, some of that athletic sort of delta that's been left. But yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. I'm not sure. I did have another conversation with obviously, people that I can't mention, a few of them that still have partnerships with that brand, but they're very, very nervous now in terms of, well, we don't know, will we keep that account long term, short term? Will they make a strategic decision to take a distribution vacation, or will we have a partner for 30 years? And I think a few retailers have got to the place where we kind of need to think about that, because we need to be prepared for if that was to happen, what would that look like? So yeah, very interesting. But we'll go with it for now, but we'll go with it cautiously.
Yeah, I actually checked out those the tubes. Those are great. I could see myself wearing those. Um,
Yeah, they're super cool. Send me over your size, and we'll send a pair over this afternoon. They're once you wear them, it is kind of wearing is believing to some degree. They're so comfortable. One of our guys who works on the merch team, he's a long distance runner, and he's always worn another brand, more of a technical brand, and he started to run in tubes, and he doesn't run in them because he has to, or he works for KSwiss. He runs in them because he loves the technology.
Right.
So yeah, as well as looking cool, they really work.
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, Dave, it's been great to talk to you in this capacity. I know my first time talking to you was in a different kind of role. So it's cool seeing you like at a brand and, still in the footwear industry. I'm curious if we missed anything, if we didn't ask you anything that we needed to ask you, or what you're excited about most, like in this role, since it's still new, like looking into the future. What are you most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about a lot of things with KSwiss. It really is a wonderful brand. I love the history and the iconic past that we kind of obsess about. But I'm really excited for the future, and where we can go and what we can do. It's an unusual brand because it's never been damaged. We have this big tennis DNA, being the number one in specialty, and then we have a big lifestyle business. So it's quite a broad brand to oversee and to lead, because there is a lot going on within it. But I also feel that it's positioned at such a good time. There's been other sort of heritage brands around us that have absolutely exploded over recent years. And I don't really want KSwiss to explode, and nor does our brand owners or our leadership team. But we definitely want to capture more share of space and share of buy, become more of a dominant brand, within the tiers that we sit. Protect and defend our tennis business fully, but then start to push out into lifestyle. I guess a personal aspiration for me would be for the K-Swiss Classic, to become. It already is, but I think the story needs to be told that it's in the same conversation as Adidas Stan Smith or Superstar, Nike Air Force One, Blazer, Puma Clyde, Vans Old School. In K-Swiss Classic, for me, it's been there for 55 years. It belongs to be there. It deserves to be there. I think it's our responsibility and my responsibility over the next few years to market it in the right way, do high heat collaborations around it, and move it into the right distribution, and start to have that silhouette become really synonymous as just a pure California classic sneaker. But yeah, to answer your question, very proud. I feel genuinely honoured to be able to take this role, and looking forward to what the next few years holds.
That's awesome, Dave. That's super cool. You're a good guy, and we're super excited for you and for the brand in the future that lies ahead. You have an optimism that's infectious and a passion that I think the brand well deserves. And so thanks for coming on Shoe and Show to share the history, because I didn't know all the history. I've known K-Swiss for many years, but I didn't know all the history. and for the future, which I'm going to be watching as a fan and cheering you on. So again, thanks for coming on the program.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for the support. We're all in this together in this industry. I do love this industry too. So it's let's all hold hands and see what the next few years brings us. But I'm sure it'll be all good.
Cool. Folks, this has been Shoe and Show, another exciting edition of Shoe and Show. We're nearing our 300th episode. We've been doing this for over 5 years. That means we have the joy and the opportunity to speak to guys like Dave a multitude of times over those 5 years. And so we're thankful that you're listening. We ask that you share episodes. Go to shoeandshow.com, listen to episodes, share them with friends, family members, colleagues. Make sure you rate us. Where you can rate us, where you find all of your podcast episodes and you download all the different podcasts that you listen to. And if you have show ideas, go to our website. And there's an opportunity actually to voice record input for us. And if your input is interestingly enough, we'll put it on to the podcast itself. And so we're super excited that you're listening. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And until then, Shoe and Show is out.
Shoe-In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.